Steven Universe Future, Episode 9, titled Little Graduation, is the hardest episode for me to get through. I spent so much time just inching my way through this episode. It is unbelievable. Please join me as I explain why. Now we open up with Steven listening to this, fun poppy song by Sadie Killer and the Suspects. He loves their sound, he loves their tune, and they're all together a good band. He arrives at Space Trees, Lars's bakery, in order to pick up this cake for the graduation ceremony for little homeschool's first class, specifically the off colors. And who should arrive but Sadie, and who's come to pick up a few things. And Steven knows that. It's just like, man, it's been a long time since it's been the three of them. But, Sadie exposits that she's actually kind of found a new partner, and they've been together for about 2 months now, and, things are just kind of simpler with them. And she just kind of moves on, and Lars has this melancholy but accepting, like, yeah, take it easy. Like, it's such an awkward moment, especially for Steven, who has no idea what is going on, or who or what is a Shep. And Lars explains that Shep is Sadie's new partner, and they've been together for a while, and he even goes on to explain that he is actually kind of planning to give up the bakery. It's been a fun experience, but he's ready to move on. He's going back into space with the off colors now that they're graduating, and he's leaving the bakery to Blue Lace Agate, who's been apparently doing pretty well there, which, hey, good for her, but dang, that's a lot to process, especially for our boy Steven. Like, what what did I miss? What's been going on when I wasn't looking? How do you come to grips with all this happening? And so the night of the graduation arrives, and Stephen is just like, oh, the graduates are ready to move on to bigger and better things. And he just has this moment where he just kind of speaks to himself out loud. It's just like, yeah, everyone but me. And it's just like, dude, I've been there. I've been there. Hell, to a certain degree, I'm back at that point. I'll get into that later, but man, like, Steven Universe Future is not pulling any punches. Like, Zach Calliston had said, the voice of Steven had said, that a lot of what happened here hit very close to home for him, and it's just like, yeah, no kidding. Like, these are feelings that people go through. People go through this shit all the time, and it is rough, especially having it hit you all at once, like it is with Steven. And so he goes to meet up with Sadie and Shep, and tries to play things off cool with them, but he has a little bit of a harder time because it's just like, oh, okay. So Sadie seems to be pretty happy, and he has a few awkward comments towards Sadie and Shep, but for the most part, it seems like it's fine. It's fine. Shep is non-binary, and it's even played by a non-binary voice actor who. I think that's very progressive to have something like that. Is India Moore, I think. So hey, good for them. Actually managing to actually keep it on brand with this kind of stuff. But it is such a hard moment to get through, just seeing this and having Steven go through this. And he tries to stop Lars from getting involved with any of this, but he's just like, dude, I don't think you want to go over there. Sadie and Shep are over there. Are you okay, dude? But Lars just pushes it back on Steven, saying, are you okay? So Steven sits down with Jenny, who actually goes over the fact that everybody kind of seems to be moving on at this point. Sour cream is actually, taking up his DJing career again, and he has a lot of gigs that have been booked. Buck is actually going to medical school, of all things, and actually might become a surgeon, I think it was, which I'm just like, dang, yeah, yeah, okay. It's always the quiet ones, but hey, that's cool. And in fact, Jenny's started up her own business with coats for phones, which is adorable, but okay then. And when Steven questions how she's gonna have any time for all of this, he comes to find out that the suspects are breaking up, which again is just like, yo, what did he miss? What has this boy been missing? It really brings to the question, has Steven just been so busy with little homeworld that he hasn't noticed the world changing around him? Like, it's not up to his friends to explain every aspect of their lives, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, yo, that's a lot to just be happening out of the corner of your eye without you really noticing. And so Stephen goes through this very, 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 very strained moment of bringing on Sadie and Shep, who, it's just Sadie and Shep. They don't have a band name or anything like that. And they do their performance. Sadie sings a little song called, what was it called? Still looking forward. I mean, looking for it, just looking forward, and it's a very melancholy song. A very well done but very very melancholy song, and it brings to the forefront a lot of emotions that especially Steven is feeling, but in the middle of the performance, Lars leaves because, stuff like this isn't really his thing. He's kind of moved on from a lot of, you know, being close to kind of stuff like this. And, you know, Steven doesn't really want to see him go because it's just like, dude, you just started up that bakery not too long ago. Like, when will I see you again? When's the next time we're going to meet? When will you be back? But Lars is just like, dude, I'm literally a portal for you, dude. You can visit me anytime. Like, it's no big deal. But, Steven kind of loses it for a second, and his gem powers activate, and a massive dome forms all around the stadium, encasing everyone within. And Steven, this little shit, he plays it off that it's because Lars has unresolved feelings towards Sadie. Because it's just like, what happened? What went on? But Sadie goes on to say that, yeah, we actually kind of worked through all of this already. Lars and Sadie, they did try getting together after he got back from space, but it just didn't work. And, they had grown apart. And then she met Shep on one of her tours, and, one thing led to another. And they've kind of moved on from each other for the most part. And, Lars had his own space thing going on, and she was happy for that, but things just weren't what they were before, which, all things considered, was probably for the best, with how bad their relationship could be at times. And while I kind of ship them, it's just kind of like, yeah, no, it wasn't a good, solid relationship. And the fact that it didn't work out just goes to show that it really wasn't. And I kind of applaud the Crewniverse for, not sticking on to this for the longest time. And, Lars says while he does miss Sadie, he respects and is happy for the fact that she's managed to find someone who really cares for her and is willing to be there for her. Not to mention he has his thing in space that he's about to go do. But Steven is just having such a hard time believing in any of this because it's just like, but I wasn't there for any of this. I wasn't able to be there for any of that. And, everyone just kind of goes with the fact that it's just like, look, dude, we have our own lives. We're doing our own thing. Lars is all too happy to just go out into space and, experience his own things. He's happier out in space. He's not leaving because he's bitter. He's leaving because it's more fun. And Steven just, is really starting to dawn on him that he's the problem here. He's the one having a hard time coming to terms with everything that's happening. And because of this realization, the dome starts to close in on him. And he tries his best to figure out how to just get it to go down, but Shep exposits that, dude, you're the one who put up this dome because you're the one having unresolved feelings. So much is changing and has been changing without you, and you're having a hard time accepting that your friends are moving on, especially since none of them really told you they were moving on. You're just really struggling with all of this. And Steven just is just like, yeah, I know all that, but it's still kind of hard to just get through all of this because he's so used to helping people. He's so used to being there for people. And it's just like like who is Steven Universe if not someone who helps people? And unfortunately, that's actually causing a situation where he's smothering them. He's not allowing them to grow beyond who they are. And he's just like, yes, I know, I get all of that. It's just that he's not ready to say goodbye. Everyone's moving on without him, and he's just not ready for all of that because his heart's not ready. You know, and I can't blame him for that. That it's so much is just coming at him all of a sudden. Who would be ready for something like that? Shoot, I was at the party the other day where a dude was just like, "Yeah, I'm leaving," and all of his family was in this one area, and he was moving, several states away. And it was just like it was a heartfelt touching moment because it's just like, how do you process that? Because it's just like you're moving, everyone you love is no longer going to be within this vicinity of you. Everyone's going to be gone. you know, it was a reverse situation with him going away, but it was just like, you're not going to be around all these people who were there for you, who were able to support you, who were able to just be around. It's the infringement upon Steven's happily ever after once again. Because happily ever after, was supposed to mean that he never had to say goodbye, but in this case, that's all he's going to be doing. Life as he knows it is going to be changing. And while all of his friends are happy that he cares so much about him, and it's so sweet that he loves them to this degree, it's just like, yeah, you kind of gotta let him go, dude. And so with that, the dome dissipates, and there's no hard feelings with anyone. It's just like, yeah, okay, so we'll see you around, dude. And Steven kind of accepts that, yeah, Sadie and Shep's new sound is actually pretty good, and he asks for a cassette of all things from them. So very much into the old school, but they seem to be making a good couple, and he's happy for them. He's finally come to terms in his own way with the what's happening, what's changing, and he really just kind of has a hard time when he talks to Lars because it's just like, yeah, he can visit Lars anytime, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, graduating seems to be mean moving on, and that seems to be all it's about. Everyone changes, everyone leaves, everyone develops, everyone but him. And, he and Lars hug it out, but it's just kind of like, it really is this bitter moment for Steven. There's no happily ever after in terms of this. It's just kind of suffering for Steven. And as we move on to the new school year for Little Homeschool, what should be a happy moment for Steven is a very melancholy one. And, as an interesting juxtaposition to how the episode opened, our episode closes with Steven driving into the night, listening to Sadie and Shep's song, which, again, is very bittersweet. And he drives out into the woods, just kind of, camping out, eating pizza, watching the stars. And, ah, man, I know this scene all too well. Yeah, I think all of us have had moments where we just kind of question, where are we going? What are we doing? What's the next step out there for us? Have you really taken into account that maybe where you're at isn't where you're supposed to be? And it's through this that I kind of bring up not just the way that each episode opens, like the title card has Steven with the beach city in the rear view. And even here, it's, Steven in his car just driving away from Beach City. And, the Crudiverse is not holding back that maybe Beach City isn't where Steven's supposed to be anymore. Maybe there's something more for him out there, and that's something that I never would have thought they would have, really highlighted here. But the more Steven goes through, the more apparent that he's kind of moved on from his life in Beach City in a lot of ways. And maybe going out into the world is what he needs to do now. You can't stick to one place all the time. Sometimes your friends, they move on. Now, hell, I moved on at one point and I was forced to come back to my beach city, as it were, and it wasn't the same. Everyone else I had known had moved on and done their own things and found their own lives out there in the world. And while it was bitter, it was just kind of like, yeah, that's a part of life. People move on, people do new things, people experience new things. It's just how it goes. And it's just something we all have to accept. Nothing stays the same forever. Man, what an episode. But tell me your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. Do you have your own experience with maybe moving to a new place? Were you the one who moved on, or were you the one to experience all of your friends moving on? Are you still experiencing all of that? Hey, tell me in the comment section below, and we can be sad little boys and girls together. Oh, boys, girls, and everything in between. But until the next episode, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye bye.